Hello, it's Political Echoes from Pendulum TV. I am Yemi Adeniji.
Today marks the 62nd independence anniversary of this great country, Nigeria. 62 years down the line, a lot has happened to us as a country, individually and collectively. Currently, it's the campaign season for political parties in preparation for who will steer the ship of this great country, Nigeria, in the next 4 years. You know, a lot of things have happened to us economically, socially, and all these issues are not without political touches.
Yeah, obviously. And this is what this program would focus on. We would look at those areas that is affecting us as a country, as an independent state. We'll be looking at issues, that revolves around the state of Nigeria.
So, let's begin. My name is David Olaiwola. Welcome to Political Echoes. Welcome back. Today's episode is an Independence Day special, and we'll be looking at Nigeria's independence, an illusion or a reality. Of recent, have you noticed the low-key celebration that is attached to the celebration of Independence Day in Nigeria?
Of course.
The glitz and glamour that is usually associated with this celebration has reduced amongst Nigerians. What could be responsible for this? Now, let's look at the real definition of independence.
Okay.
Independence is a form of self-rule where a particular people control all aspects of their economic, social, and political life. Another perspective to look at it is being totally free from external influences, being autonomous from other states. So, looking at these definitions, can we truly say that Nigeria is independent?
Okay, David, the thing is, when it comes to Nigeria's independence, we'll look at it from two perspectives. The first one is the real definition of independence is when the state has control over a territory. You control your government, you control whatever happens. But the second perspective, like you rightly mentioned, are we politically free? Are we socially free? Then are we economically free? When we look at these three areas, we can then say, okay, Nigeria's independence is an illusion because we rely on these people, our colonial masters. We rely on them for economic, for social, for political, whatever it is. We cannot do anything on our own. So that's why is in a way, if we look at it from one way, we can say, oh, Nigeria is an independent state. Another way we can say, oh, Nigeria is not. But in the real sense, for formality's sake, Nigeria is an independent country.
Okay, let's take a look at this documentary of Nigeria's history from 1960 to date. We'll be right back. Don't touch the dial.
In 1914, the southern and northern protectorates of Nigeria were amalgamated by Lord Frederick Lugard. Nigeria gained her independence in 1960 after several years of British colonial rule. Princess Alexandra was present to mark this day. It was a day of joy and celebration as Nigerians were happy to finally gain their independence. For the first time, the Union Jack was lowered and the green-white-green flag of Nigeria was flown. Sir Tafawa Balewa became the first Prime Minister of Nigeria. In 1963, Nigeria became a republic and Nnamdi Azikiwe became the first president of the country. After 3 years, Nigeria witnessed a first military coup on January 15, 1966, with Major General Aguiyi Ironsi as the first military head of state of the country.
Decided to transfer power to him as the general officer commanding the armed forces. It means an abdication of power.
He is known to have restored order in the country. Barely 6 months into his administration, another military coup occurred on the 29th of July 1966, and Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, a Christian from the northern part of the country, was installed as the new military head of state. Few months into Gowon's administration as military head of state, between 8,000 to 30,000 Southeasterners living in the northern part of the country are estimated to have been attacked, killed, and robbed by local mobs, and over 1 million Southeasterners fled back to their homeland. The Igbos had some demands: greater political autonomy, greater control over the revenue from the southeast oil deposits, and a restructuring of the Nigerian army in a way that devolved powers to the regions and got rid of unfair recruitment quota system, which allowed a disproportionately large number of northerners to join the Nigerian army. For these reasons, on the 30th of May 1967, General Ojukwu officially announced the secession of the eastern region and the establishment of the state of Biafra. The Nigerian government, in response, declared war on Biafra, and even though the Biafran army was less strong than the Nigerian army, they were able to withstand the Nigerian army for 3 brutal years. Due to the economic blockade imposed by the Gowon administration, there was death by malnutrition of an estimated 2 million Biafran civilians. The Biafran forces finally surrendered to the federal military government on 15th January 1970. Before this period, the economy of Nigeria was flourishing as it was majorly based on agriculture, both subsistence and commercial. In the 1970s, Nigeria witnessed the oil boom, and in this period, the Nigeria state profit increased by almost 50% to an all-time high of 5.3 billion naira in 1976. In 1975, the Yakubu Gowon's government was overthrown in a coup engineered by the head of his personal bodyguards, and General Muritala Muhammad, popularly known to be on the 20 naira note, became the new Nigerian military head of state. A year after, his government was overthrown, and General Olusegun Obasanjo, popularly known to have implemented the Structural Adjustment Program, was the new Nigerian military head of state. It was after this that Alhaji Shehu Shagari became the first elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 1979. This civilian rule was short-lived as General Muhammadu Buhari became the Nigerian military head of state 4 years after. In 1985, General Ibrahim Babangida became the military head of state, and in an attempt to transit to a civilian rule in 1993, there was a general election, of which Moshood Abiola Kashimawo of the SDP is said to have won majority votes. The election was, however, annulled by the military head of state. Until date, the election is said to be the fairest election in the country. In 1986, Professor Wole Soyinka was the first Nigerian to win a Nobel Prize for Literature. In 1996, Nigeria had her first successful Olympic outing as she won gold, silver, and bronze medals. General Sani Abacha later became the military head of state of the country between 1993 and 1999. After 29 years of military rule, the country transited into civilian rule in 1999 with President Olusegun Obasanjo of the People's Democratic Party winning the election. President Obasanjo is credited to have introduced the GSM communication network in the country. He introduced the Universal Basic Education in 1999 to provide greater access to education and ensure quality basic education throughout Nigeria. He also introduced the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. The GDP of the country grew by 81% in 8 years under the Obasanjo administration. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua of the People's Democratic Party won the presidential election in 2007. He came in with the 7-point agenda but could only rule the country for 3 years after he passed away on the 5th of May 2010. He was able to improve the GDP by 25.9% in 3 years. His vice president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, became the president after he passed away. In 2011, Goodluck Jonathan won the presidential election and was president till 2015. Under the Jonathan administration, railways in Nigeria was resuscitated after about 30 years hiatus. Nigeria clinically controlled the Ebola virus outbreak in 2014 to the admiration of the world, became guinea worm free, and also eradicated polio. Under the Jonathan administration, over 200 girls were kidnapped in April 2014 by the Boko Haram militant group. Until date, most of them have not been found. It was able to increase the GDP by 26.4% in 5 years. In 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari won the presidential election. Under the Buhari administration, conflicts from the Boko Haram militant group grew and insecurity worsened, especially in the northern part of the country. Nigeria has seen the most ambitious legislative program in its history, with different bills such as the Electoral Act Amendment Bill of 2022 and the Not Too Young to Run Bill of 2018 being passed. The Abuja-Kaduna Railway System was completed and commissioned in 2016. The Ibadan-Lagos Railway System was also completed and commissioned in 2021 under the Buhari administration. The Buhari administration is credited to have invested heavily in agriculture, with different policies put in place, such as the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative and Special Agro-Industrial Processes Zones. The NNPC was also changed to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, changing it from a wholly state-run entity to a commercial company limited by shares. Democracy Day in Nigeria, which was usually marked on the 29th of May every year, was changed to the 12th of June to commemorate the June 12 election of 1993. Under the Buhari administration, the GDP has increased by 1.8% in 7 years and counting. Today, Nigeria is blessed with several natural resources such as gold, coal, zinc, crude oil, and many more, with a population of over 200 million people and over 250 ethnic groups.
All right, welcome back from that documentary. I know that you enjoyed the documentary and must have learned one or two things from it. But for me, basically, one thing that caught my attention was the Civil War. You know, of course, I was not born in 1967, but as a government student, I remember my teacher taught us a lot about Civil War. So many people were displaced, so many people were killed. There were so many destructions all over Nigeria. And when we look at this, there are certain factors that actually contributed to this. The Igbos felt they were sidelined from governance, then the exploration of oil from their region, and they are not benefiting in return. So they felt, oh, we are being sidelined. I think it's better that we go away, while others, the north, the western parts, go your way, while the east.
So they felt the need to secede was necessary.
Exactly, and that cost us a whole lot. And that's why when we ask those who are born at this point that I think it's better that the military should take over, they will tell you that war is not good. All right, so aside that, if we look at, I'll be coming in from the political perspective of this matter. When we look at this, one of the issues we have as a country, the political area, is our leaders are not transparent enough. They are not accountable enough. For instance, in the US, if an American should be kidnapped in another country, they send their force to get. But even in Nigeria, if you are kidnapped in your own country, nobody cares.
Definitely.
Except you are a son of a governor or you are a son of a senator. That's when you have people to care about you. So the government is not transparent enough in the sense that we know what is actually happening. There are so many things. What we see basically is just the outer part, but we don't know what is going on inside. The government, they are not accountable. I remember the story of Snake taking a lot of money.
Ridiculous stories that I still don't believe till today.
Yeah.
Snake and animals eating money. How should that be?
Maybe a man turned to a snake.
Well,
and after stealing the money, turned back to man. Alright, so we also look at an all-inclusive government. I remember the definition of democracy means a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But the question is, as a country, can we say that this government is
yes.
The government is just for a few percentage of the entire population. So if we look at our political system, now coming back to the recent time, There are so many issues in our political arena. The issue of Muslim tickets in the APC, the issue of BK wanting Ayu to resign as the chairman, and so many other things. And we have this other one that we call political balance, moving from one party to another. In as much as they can benefit at every point, so they move. They are not in a party, they are not committed. So the political area of Nigeria is, I won't say it's nothing to write home about. Of course, we can get better. 62 years down the line, we can get better.
One thing I would also want to point out about our political system is the fact that this present set of politicians have actually reduced the standard of politics in the country to a very low one. Because there are basic duties that the government is supposed to actually take up. So when we see so many governments not doing these things, we say, oh, the country is bad, they're not doing their job. But when a person comes in and does these basic duties, they will start praising him that, oh, you've changed the country, you've done a lot. Whereas that is what you were voted in to do in the first place. So it seems as though what we even want now in Nigeria is just someone who will take us back to the normal before now even taking it beyond that. So I feel like the standard of politics has been reduced over the years. And another issue I would like us not to overlook is the economic aspects of our country so far. In the past 60 years, we have actually grown. We can't take that away.
Yeah, we've grown.
Where we are now is not where we were in 1960. So we've increased in GDP, we've harnessed more of our resources, we've several other things like that. However, it seems as though many Nigerians still remain poor despite this abundance of resources.
And at some point, we were the poorest country in the world.
That's a very sad one for the giant of Africa. So I feel like there is the resource allocation mechanism in this country is very bad because the few rich keep getting richer and the majority poor keep getting poorer. So it's a question that begs to the answer that how does this happen? Another thing that I feel is responsible for this is our concentration on oil. Our discovery of oil in Olobiri distracted us from so many other places that could be vibrant for our economy. Most of what we depend on as of today is the income we get from the oil sector of the country. And diversification is something that we should have started working on for a long time. Recently, we've been hearing diversification. It's already been overused, and we tend to see it as the real diversification actually requires us to make intentional policies towards diversification. It's not just about saying, oh, let's diversify. It requires us to actually start from the oil we have. The oil we have itself, we have not harnessed its full potentials. We rely basically on, after the crude, we rely on fuel. When there is gas, when there are other aspects of this oil that we can and can give us more income. And from this, we can now go into mechanized farming, we can now go into, other areas that have not been harnessed. So I feel like 60 years down the line, we have grown, but Nigerians are not feeling
We've grown in numbers.
Yes. Another thing, yes, we are growing in population exponentially, but developmentally, we are just moving like a snail. And that's very sad for a country as big as Nigeria.
And another thing, basically, one would look at the economic part of it. How does this relate to our independence? Remember when we started, we established the fact that a country like Nigeria, where our economy basically depends on the West. As it is, the currency that controls the economy is dollar.
Definitely.
And that is why things are on the high side. Sometimes I make jest of this market when I go to the market to get 3 items and I say, oh, I want to buy this. Probably the last time I bought it was, let's say, 5 naira, and now it's 10 naira. The next question I ask them is, do you also buy this thing with dollar?
They tell us dollars in one.
They say dollars in 1 year. So our economy is controlled by that currency. And that is why anybody who lives in Nigeria and earns in that currency may not necessarily feel what those earning in Naira might feel.
Feeling, yes.
So the economic part of Nigeria is, we still depend on the West. Our importation, we import even toothpick. It's as bad as that. So if we don't have our economy, we cannot create our own economy. We keep making them, they will keep getting richer from our own resources. Because when you import things, you send money to them, you bring in cars, you send money to them, you bring clothes, you send money to them. But why in Nigeria we are not manufacturing anything? Even if, okay, don't let me say we are not manufacturing anything. We are actually manufacturing, but the percentage of patronage is very low. So looking at the economic aspects, we are not doing very well. We need to get to the point where we can manufacture what we consume in a country like this.
My name is Omotosho Temitope Olamide. I'm a data analyst. Nigeria at 62. Does it even worth it? Nigeria is not worth celebrating at 62 because nothing is working. When we want to celebrate independence, it means you celebrate independence in a joyful mood when you are in a happy mood. But as Nigerians, we are not happy because to me, independence is supposed to be freedom. It's supposed to be freedom. When you are not under any kinds of slavery, you are free to do whatever you want to do at will. Nobody is forcing you. Nobody is ordering you about. But in this Nigeria, our present situation now in Nigeria, it's like we are under slavery because there is no independence at all. So we are not even celebrating any independence because we are still suffering. In Nigeria of today, there is insecurity. There is global total economic meltdown. Nothing is working. Ebi ń pa gbogbo èèyàn nílùú. Kò sóúnjẹ, kò sí kankan. Kidnappings everywhere, ritual killings everywhere, abduction everywhere, bribery and corruption. In Nigeria, we say, in fact, that is an adage everywhere that youth are the leaders of tomorrow. But in my own country, Arugbo are the leaders. Old people are the leaders of Nigeria. And that tomorrow we are talking about is now. So which tomorrow are we talking about again? Nígbà tí àwọn bàbá 80, bàbá 90 tó jẹ́ pé àwọn náà fẹ́ máa ṣèjọba lé wa lórí. And many of them, they have already entered into dementia. They don't know what they are doing again. They cannot stand on their own. Àwọn èèyàn bíi mẹ́rin mẹ́ta ló máa dì wọ́n mú. So ṣáwọn yẹn ni we are facing bad leaders.
What's your name? Can we meet you?
Yes. Sunana Alhaji Muhammad.
So how do you feel about Nigeria's independence tomorrow?
Kai, Nigeria ba yayi ba. Wallahi Nigeria gaskiya yayi jaga-jaga sosai ba. Wallahi gaskiya.
Jaga-jaga?
Wallahi.
Okay, so is it worth celebrating?
No. At all, Nigeria, everything scatter. Nothing.
Nigeria.
Ina. Ya kai ne.
Nigeria. Wallahi akwai kyau.
Ina. Kaya ba wallahi ba da kau ba, wallahi ba da kau. Gaskiya kai na.
Tomorrow we go celebrate Nigeria.
Ina.
62 anniversary for
Kai.
independence.
Kai. No road, no light, no water, no electricity, everything, no money. Jaga Nigeria no go.
Let us pray for God to have mercy for Nigeria. So we have God. We need God for the 2023 to pray for the new election. I believe in the new election. Nigeria will change.
No good leader. Nobody except when Nigeria go good. Whether if you go vote for right person, we go not say Nigeria go good. All those bad people what we say that they go for. Nigeria don't go good like that.
Thank you very much. My name is Comrade Jude Nwangu. Actually, Nigeria at 62, somebody as an Igbo man, I don't feel independence. The reason I don't feel independence is there is nothing to point at. Mostly in the southeast where I came from, there is nothing to really show that we belong to Nigeria, and that is the truth. Nigeria is the only nation that cannot boast of a single thing that they can, I swear, point out that they have overcome these particular things. Is it road you talk about? Is it education sector? Is it electricity? Can you measure a single thing that Nigeria is saying that they are going to celebrate at the 62 of their independence? So for me, as an Igbo man, I don't believe there is anything for us to celebrate, and I don't believe that I am independent. Thank you.
Welcome back. Just a short comment on one of the respondents. You know, she talked about people are hungry and all of this and all of that. Because of that, Nigeria is not an independent country. Well, that is not the case actually, because independence is is on its own.
Definitely.
We are independent, we control our government and all of that. But we are not economically independent, and that is affecting us. Okay? Other areas also, when we look at it, is the socio-cultural aspect also, in terms of our education, in terms of our health, in terms of our security. Many people abroad now, they don't want to come home. We have uncles, we have aunties who have been in the UK, in the US for years, and they are scared of coming home. Why? Because of security. So our security system should be controlled by representatives from all regions. Because as it is now, the major positions, the leaders of our security apparatus are from the north. So there's no way we can even have a solution to that. Because if we should bring people from the north, from the east, from the west, then we'll look at how things are done from our regions. Then we can, okay, this is the way to solving our security problems. So it's a thing we need to look at, and it's very urgent. It's an urgent matter. The security state of Nigeria requires urgent attention. In fact, let me say every situation in Nigeria requires urgent attention. Is it education? Is it health? I remember that when our president came in, he was in the UK for days. And even till tomorrow, when our leaders are sick, the next thing they do is
fly them out of the country.
Fly out. Why? They don't even trust the health system they put in place.
It's that bad.
So we are the ones to use these hospitals. So all of this is the problems of Nigeria is big, but not without a solution.
Definitely. And the health sector, as you mentioned, requires urgent attention because the lives of every Nigerian is very important. Another aspect we can't neglect is the educational sector of the country. The education in Nigeria over the past 62 years has grown very bad, starting with public secondary and primary schools. In the past, when it was established, it was very good. There was prompt payment of salaries, there was good learning and conducive environment for learning, different things like that made public primary and secondary education good. But over time, we realized that the government violated the principles that establishes these public primary and secondary schools. And because of that, public schools are now, the condition is now very bad. We now have a boom of private primary and secondary schools. That's why when you see someone on the street and you tell the person that, oh, you attend a public school in Nigeria, they see you as automatically less privileged because you can't get quality education from a public primary or secondary school in Nigeria or private schools. Same thing affects the tertiary education in Nigeria. Look at this now. ASHA has been on strike for over close to 8 months now, and based on issues of non-payment of salaries and allowances,
and the conditions of our universities
in the schools, and several other major issues like that. You see, education in a country is not something you can neglect if you want development. Because if you look at most of these advanced countries and countries that are doing very well, education was one of their major tools that aided their development. Because it is the citizens who are educated that will bring in inventions and developmental strategies that will make the country move forward. So, if we decide to neglect education in Nigeria, then we are not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere because these public public universities, when they were established in the past, they were very good. They were of international standard. Many people came across all over the world to study in Nigerian universities. But recently, look at the Times Education ranking of universities in Nigeria, where University of Ibadan was ranked as the first in Nigeria, but it was between 400 and 500 in the world. So for the giants of Africa, for one of the most populous black countries in the world, if our best university is the 400th in the world, then we have a long way to go. We have a really long way to go. So we can't neglect education in this country if we want to move forward. So the solution to most of our problems in Nigeria starts from implementing the policies we are bringing to the table. Because we have so many policies. There have been so many policies that have been brought to the table, but lack of implementation is not making us progress. So definitely. So if we really want to move forward and want to show that we are truly independent, then all the policies we have been bringing to the table for the past 6 years, they have to be implemented. They have to be followed up. And I feel like that is where our progress and growth actually starts from.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. But the thing is, does it mean that our problems, is it that there are no solutions to our problems? There are solutions. but are we ready to provide those solutions? Even if we provide them, are we ready to implement them and also monitor them? The only way we can be productive is if we are ready to give the required solutions. So to everyone, the change that we require in Nigeria starts from you, starts from me. Let's get it done. It doesn't lie alone with our leaders. It also lies with every one of us. Regardless of our present situation, I wish you all a happy independence. I remain Adeyemi Adeniji. Thank you for staying tuned.
So far, we can't totally say that the government has done woefully bad because some policies have actually been implemented and we've seen a little progress and growth, especially from the current administration. However, we still have a long way to go. So, to really move forward in this country, everyone has a role to play. Everyone has a part to play. So, the growth of this country begins with you, begins with me. Till next time, when we'll be coming on the show, I remain David Olayola. Bye.